going to be difficult for me to like.
You should screenshot them.
Yeah, you're going to scam me now.
Is the sound on? Is the sound on?
The sound should be on. Sound should be on. It's plugged in.
The screen, yeah. You need to tell me, is the sound coming through?
Well, I hope it's coming through there. Hope so.
How did you test it before?
With somebody else's phone, but now I'm using all the phones.
Ask Olen to check on his.
It's fine. Lots of people like coming in on TikTok.
There's more people that follow us on that platform.
Yeah. If you just want to say, we're going to be live for about 30 minutes, and if you can just give you like a thumbs up if the sound is working. Yeah, so that's what I just told you.
Good day, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live broadcast. It's been a while. It's been long overdue. I'm going to be sharing a few answers to some queries that we are receiving via our various social media platforms. And if you are able to hear me clearly, please pop me a thumbs up so that we know that the sound is coming through on your side. If not, please let us know with a thumbs down.
Somebody just asked right now, what are the preparation steps to purchasing a second property as an investment, example, an apartment? What are those preparation steps? Somebody gave you that.
So preparation steps into purchasing a secondary apartment. It's pretty much the same as it would be for any new property purchase. It all starts with a pre-approval. Pre-approval assessments are free. It's a free service. You can reach out to us. I think our WhatsApp line is in my bio of the platforms you are listening in on now. So WhatsApp is the easiest platform to reach us on, and you can request assistance with a pre-approval to purchase a secondary property as an investment, right? And so the preparation stages, I feel, besides a pre-approval, would be to find out from the estate agents in the areas that you're looking to purchase as to what you can expect to earn as a future rental on the investment property that you are looking at. That will help to actually comprehensively assist your pre-approval assessment with ourselves as bond originators to incorporate a percentage of that rental income into your affordability exercise. So if it is particularly something you're looking at to be used as an investment purchase, you do plan to earn rental income from there, you do need to inquire with the residential agents that are listing these properties what you can expect to earn as a future rental. And take that information, reach out to us and submit that information along with the other supporting documents where your main income is derived from.
Okay. They just asked, where can you find the WhatsApp number? So the WhatsApp number is
So the WhatsApp number is in my bio. So if you click onto my profile that you are on now, and you go to the front page of my profile, you'll see the WhatsApp line. reflected in my bio. So on my front page of my social media page, it is reflecting there. And you can WhatsApp us from there.
Mhm.
It is best to do that instead of any DMs or comments, because the WhatsApp line has a dedicated team that can assist you with getting those, getting those steps ironed out. And getting you to where you need to be with the answers you need in order to proceed with a well-informed property purchase.
Okay.
So that WhatsApp line is in my bio page. If you click on my profile, you'll see all my information there, as well as my email address.
Okay, cool. And then somebody's asking, how does the buying out of a joint bond work? How does that work? So just repeat the question.
So if you are currently a joint mortgage owner and property owner, and you wish to buy out one of the parties that is currently registered with you on both the home loan and of course the property itself, you would have to start by firstly checking if you are able to qualify for the home loan that's currently owing on the mortgage by yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, people may have secured the home loan with the other party because of affordability reasons. So first and foremost, establish, are you able to be assessed for the affordability and for the approval of that home loan solely on your own? We are able to help with that pre-approval. And then if you do meet that, if you do check those boxes and you are able to qualify for the mortgage balance owing on the property on your own, you can then proceed to drafting an offer to purchase between the two parties and essentially having to buy out the other share, via an offer to purchase, and then we would proceed with the formal home loan application. So those are the steps I would suggest you take if you are needing to, buy out the other party's share. First and foremost, establish, are you able to qualify for the remaining balance on the home loan on your own? And also, not only that, if there is a certain amount of equity that's in that property, so the property is worth much more than what you initially bought it for, and there is that equity that's available, that other party at that point in time legally has 50% share of that equity due to them in the sale of the property. So you would need to not only qualify for the balance owing on the mortgage, you would also need to qualify for half of what the equity is available in that property.
Take a breath there. And so I think he's following up with, and if I wish to buy out using a company or a property holding company?
It's the same process. So thank you so much for your comments. So if you wish to now register the buyout, not in your personal capacity, but you wish to register it in an entity, right? And you are the sole shareholder and the sole director or owner of that entity, same rules apply. The bank would still want you to qualify as, the surety of that business, of the surety of that entity. So you still need to qualify, even if it's an entity that you're looking to have that purchase re-registered into, you are still needing to qualify. However, if the entity is a going concern, it's trading for the past 3 years minimum, you can then incorporate the financials of that entity as well as your other stream of income to afford the home loan. But generally speaking, it's still the person that's linked to that entity, the main shareholder, that would still be needing to apply for the home loan, regardless of whether it's an entity or not. But yes, you are able to do that. To answer your question, you are able to draft the offer to purchase in the entity's name as the purchaser, but you would then ultimately be signing surety for that entity and proceed with the supporting documents needed in that instance.
Yes, thanks, Olen. Great stuff.
You're welcome.
Um, okay, and then on Instagram, someone says, I have saved your contacts for now. I'm currently saving a deposit, sending this from the Netherlands.
Oh, hi there. Thank you for following our pages all the way from the Netherlands. We look forward to assisting you once you are ready. Yes, please do pop us an email or drop us a WhatsApp once you reach the stages of being ready. Or you can even reach us now just to get those steps, even whilst you are saving for your deposit. The pre-approval, in fact, that we can assist with is valid, as long as your circumstances don't change much. Let's say you plan to work in the Netherlands for, the foreseeable future, and you plan to be working there at the time of applying for the new home loan. You can already proceed with a pre-approval application. We would require things like 6 months recent pay slips, your 6 months recent bank statements to where your salary is paid into, a copy of your employment contract for the company that you are employed by in the Netherlands, and then we can assess you for your pre-approval. And also just to note that you don't sometimes necessarily need a deposit to purchase a property as a South African citizen living and working abroad, let's say in the Netherlands. If you are a South African citizen that's working abroad, you don't necessarily need a deposit. However, if you don't have citizenship here in South Africa, but you are earning income outside of the country, then yes, you would need a deposit to purchase.
Okay. Tashreeq asks, what conveyances are the best?
Hi Tashreeq, thanks for your comment. So unfortunately I won't be able to specifically give information regarding conveyances. However, I will just say that once we secure your home loan approval, whichever attorneys the banks appoint to foresee or to oversee, should I say, the conveyancing process of your bond registration, they have to go through a very rigorous assessment process before being able to actually gain the bank's trust, to actually administrate that process. So they've gone through an extensive vetting process. So whichever attorneys are allocated with your bond registration, they are, pretty much trusted attorneys. They are efficient because they have milestones that they need to meet. And so, they work according to the bank's strict criteria. When it comes to your transfer attorneys though, most of the times the sellers actually appoint those attorneys, so we don't really have much say in who gets to transfer the process, or who the attorneys are in that sense. But the attorneys that are appointed by the banks are very well trusted and they work very efficiently.
On Insta, the Netherlands guy says he's not a South African citizen.
Okay. Thank you so much for confirming your citizenship status. So if you are not a South African citizen and you are employed outside of the country and you are a citizen outside of South Africa, but you are working towards purchasing a property in South Africa, you would need a minimum deposit of 50% for your upcoming property purchase. So yes, we are happy to still run your pre-approval assessment for the other 50% that you are needing to secure. We can still do that whilst you are saving, so you're welcome to still reach out to us to assist with that process.
Okay.
There's other questions that you sent me.
Do you want to go there? Do you want to do that one first?
That's up to you.
On TikTok there was one question. What if you have a settlement amount, but you would want your ex-partner's name out of the property? I don't know what you mean by that.
A settlement amount. Sorry, the person has just sent me that comment about a settlement amount and you want your ex-partner off the property.
Can I maybe rephrase that?
So the way I'm understanding it is you are going through a separation or divorce and there's a settlement in the court order. Usually once you have a settlement divorce order, you would take that and then actually approach the bank where the bond is held directly to have the party taken off based on the court order, because the court order basically is the how that was ruled, whatever settlement amount came to be on that court order, right? You actually have to follow through with now at the bank directly. So that's a little bit different if there is an actual court order involved. I'm not sure if I'm actually understanding that question 100% correctly.
Okay. And then the Netherlands guy says, all right, I'm going to let you know when I'm ready, Olen. Thank you.
You're welcome. Look forward to hearing from you then.
Do you want to do some questions from...
Yes, we can.
So,
do
you want to read?
You can read it to me.
Okay. It's best if you repeat it because
Okay.
I have some
So the mic.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does future rental income help with regards to buying a second property and not having to submit an offer that is subject to the sale of the existing property you own?
So, as if you're going to give me that answer all in one now. Give me the question and the answer.
Again, I need to repeat the question.
Yes, looking at.
How does future rental income help with buying a secondary property and having to submit an offer that is subject to a sale of the existing property? How future rental can help is that it offsets the mortgage balance owing on the existing property and thereby freeing up that debt that is a contractual debt owing on that existing mortgage. So it frees that up in order to support a new home loan, if that makes sense.
Okay, and why would you want to do that?
So the reason why you would want to incorporate future rental income onto your existing property is because you wouldn't then have to be forced to place a subject to sale condition on your new purchase agreement, and thereby, putting yourself on the back foot perhaps when presenting that offer to purchase to the seller. So for example, you are now on the lookout for a brand new property, you own an existing home but it has a mortgage on it, and you know it's going to take some time before you can secure a buyer for your property, settle that mortgage, and then allow you to purchase the new property. How you can then make this a reality whilst you are looking to sell that property in the near future, you could look at securing a rental on your existing property, and then by doing so, offsetting the mortgage owing with that future rental declaration that we can incorporate on your new home loan application, and thereby cancelling out a subject to sale clause that would have needed to be included on your new purchase agreement.
Okay. You can just remind people if they have any questions, they can post it in the comments.
If you have any questions, please feel free to post it in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them whilst we are here for the next 15 minutes. I'm going to be just going through a few other questions that we've been receiving. The second one I have here is, I work in Vietnam and I earn approximately 40,000 a month, and I have a 40% deposit available but no existing debt. Can you arrange a pre-qualification? in this instance. So a 40% deposit is a really good deposit for a home loan, and you know, the salary, if it's sufficient to meet the 60% portion of the home loan that is required, you don't necessarily need to have a credit rating, as long as it's not a negative one. So the 40% deposit is really a low risk to the banks, and you don't necessarily need to have a strong credit record in that instance. However, you would need to have a South African bank account where you are transacting from. Remember, you're working abroad, you're working in Vietnam, you have no credit track record here. So the banks need something of assurance that they can say, okay, this person will be able to repay the 60% home loan that we're about to approve them for without fail. And how we present that in a positive manner is opening up a local bank account here in your name and running a few expenses from there. You know, I'm sure you have family members here, or maybe a life policy here that you can open up, or a small mobile contract, for example, that you can open up, things like that. But start with opening up a local bank account here. It really does make such a difference on your home loan application with the banks that we approach, because in that way you are saying that you are committed to repaying the home loan. The banks cannot load a home loan repayment on an international bank account. So very, very important to open up that local bank account and start transacting locally from there. Even if it's on a small scale, even if it's a savings account, it doesn't necessarily have to be a check account. You can just open a very basic savings account and from time to time transfer funds from your offshore account into the local bank account here. It does help to then ease us into that approval process for your upcoming home loan.
Awesome. On TikTok, I see Patricia is sending you lots of hearts and sharing your live and sending you stickers and stuff.
Thanks, Patricia, for all the love. We appreciate you so much.
She says fruitful information.
You're most welcome. Happy to be assisting and happy to have you joining us on this live. Thank you.
On Insta, hi Olen, when it comes to financing on buying out your ex-partner, does the bank finance you on what your currently outstanding amount owing is?
Hi there, thank you so much for your comment and your question raised. So you are, so just to reiterate the question, if you are buying your partner out on the existing property that you own and there's a mortgage owing, will the bank finance you for the outstanding balance owing on that mortgage? So they would finance you for the outstanding balance owing, but you would need to meet the qualifying criteria in terms of the affordability that's required in order for them to consider approving just yourself alone for the owing balance or outstanding balance that is reflecting on that mortgage facility. So it is best to perhaps reach out to one of us to see, can you qualify on your own? We can also incorporate a future rental on the property. If you wish to keep this property and not forgo it on the open market and not sell it just yet, but perhaps use it as a rental investment, and you could then incorporate your salary as well as a future rental that you could potentially earn on this property to salvage the property in your own name and keep it until such time you are able to manage the repayments on your own. So that is one way of qualifying for the facility on your own. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, good one. And then can you just explain basically what you do, what is a bond originator, and the fees and all that, just to clarify?
Sure. So a bond originator is there to support your property finance application process for a property purchase. They are there to support it from the time that you decide to purchase a property to actually walking through the entire process with the bank's application and even assisting and aiding you with regards to the conveyancing process that takes place after you've secured your home. And so we are here as a free service. Bond originators provide a free service that we can assist with preparing you for a home loan application, a formal home loan application with all the various banks, and we can essentially negotiate for the absolute best interest rates on your behalf, as well as securing the finance. We also, go back and forth with the credit committees at each banks, just making sure that we secure the maximum home loan value that you are needing to, successfully purchase the property, because many times perhaps the banks only offer upfront a lower loan to value. So we could then go back in and then, motivate each case individually and say to the bank's credit committee that there is merit here to consider the full property purchase price instead of, asking for a deposit. There are many cases that I can speak to where, there were some banks that offered us 90%, for example, or 80%. And we had to go back to the drawing board and actually highlight the reasons why this specific applicant could be looked at for the full 100% home loan. So those are just, things that we would represent your application by you using our services. Because when you go direct to the bank, there is no dialogue. There is no, let's talk about this, let's unpack this a little bit more. Once the decline is there, it's very difficult to overturn a declined response or a lower offer when you go in at it alone. It's best to have a support structure where we are very much, skilled, we are very much learned in this specific field, and we know exactly what the banks are looking for, how to actually even complete an application form. You'll be shocked at, how many application forms come in, incorrectly. And it's not to say anything about, completing forms are so easy. No, it's not. It's quite a daunting experience to get an application form and be like, okay, where to from here? It's not like you're completing an application for a home loan every single day, whereas we sit with it on the daily, and we know that there are, things on these forms that need to be completed in a certain way so that it allows for a very positive outcome on your home loan approval. So we sit with those forms and we sit with you and we guide you in the way in which to complete these forms accurately and and for the best outcome. And then once we get to submitting the application, we make sure that there's a quick turnaround time. Now, I'm not sure if you know, but when you do approach the bank sometimes directly, the timelines are quite drawn out, and it's a nerve-wracking experience to be waiting for an answer. You've got an estate agent, you've got a seller, these other parties involved in this property purchase process. And so, you can't just have yourself relying on a bank to answer you. You've got to have people in place, such as a bond originator, that can actually push that process along and give you an answer within 2-3 days instead of 10 days or 14 days. That could cost you the property purchase ultimately. So you want to have a bond originator that's going to be efficiently securing that home loan approval for you.
Okay. On TikTok, Patricia mentioned, I had a client who had an approval in principle in the morning. In the afternoon, the bank declined. So what's the difference and how does that occur?
Hi Patricia, thank you so much for your comment. So the question raised was, there was an approval in principle that was issued in the afternoon, and
In
then
the
a
morning.
decline, or in the morning, and in the very same afternoon, a declined, outcome. So it's very important to actually probe a little bit as to what the reasons are. There could be multiple reasons, okay, but in my experience, it could possibly have been where the banks couldn't find value in the property. That's one reason, because after what an AIP is, it's an approval in principle. So it is approved subject to verification of documents and subject to verification of the property value. So there's two things that could have happened in that specific instance. The property value was not found. They could have done a desktop on their systems and seen, oh no, the property purchase price versus what our database is saying about properties being sold in this area, they're not matching up. So that's possibly one reason. Verification of documents. They could have looked at the documents after the system approved the client. So the system approved them based on the figures that came through and based on their credit profile. But when they checked the documents, they could have found any reason really for documents not being thorough or authentic or whatever the case is. A myriad of reasons could have went wrong there. It's very difficult for me to know exactly, but it's good for the client to then probe a little bit more, find out from the bond originator that assisted them as to what the reasons are. The information will be explained and clarified, because the bond originator that is receiving those answers, they are able to then reach out. I'm able to then reach out to my representatives that I work on a daily with at the various banks and ask them point blank, please give me more information so that I can come back and shed some light to my client, on the matter to my client, and say to them, this is exactly what happened, this is what went wrong. Perhaps it's the property, so you've got to maybe find a different property to purchase. Or perhaps there was an error on one of the documents and they could rectify that. Sometimes these things happen. But yeah, best to probe with the person that has represented that application for you.
So we're just going to wrap up now, and thanks for everyone. And
you don't want me to go through any of these questions?
no, I think we reached the time limit, so
On
next week
yeah.
we'll be back.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in today, for logging on, and for participating, for the questions, for the comments. Please navigate through to our bio pages for our WhatsApp and our email addresses. You can reach us quite easily on those details provided, and we'll be standing by to assist. Have an awesome long weekend.